Puma Energy pays Customs 40 million Kina. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop visits New Ireland. And World Water Day celebrated at Gaba Gaba Village.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening. Our headlines tonight. Puma Energy pays 40 million Kina in outstanding debts to Customs. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop tours OFC projects in New Ireland. And World Water Day celebrated at Gaba Gaba Village. A dispute between Customs and Puma Energy over outstanding imports, goods and services tax has been brought to a close, with both parties signing a deed of settlement today. As a result, Puma Energy PNG will now pay 40 million Kina to the state. This follows months of dialogue and reviews by both parties.
After many months of negotiations, Puma Energy and PNG Customs Services today signed an agreement paving the way for Puma Energy to settle a dispute over unpaid goods and services tax. According to Customs Chief Commissioner Ray Paul, the decision to reach this agreement was positive as it also allowed Customs to also look at its processes in calculating import duties.
What we've disputed all along in all of this is that how import GST is declared to the state. Right? It has to be declared at the point of import. Whether it's been deferred, it has to be declared and paid to Customs first. And after that is done, then you can settle the RSC part later through your sales and all of that. And that's the process we want to correct, which we have achieved.
In the end, the state agreed to accept a settlement payment, with Governor-General Grand Chief Sebob Dadai today executing the deed settlement agreement.
It took some time, but the important thing is this, unfortunately, it wasn't them that have made this. They've all come in with a good heart to assist us get the process done. It must be working according to what is there. And I believe from there we were able to find those ground. But, this is some of the things that you get onto yourself when you inherit something that is not yours. So I believe that has been settled now, and we are prepared to work together and move on. Yeah.
The dispute over unpaid GST calculations had been one that took many months. However, as a result of a thorough audit and reconciliation process, the parties settled on a 40 million Kina settlement.
The approach by Customs to be focused on supporting what needs to happen from their judicial point of view, as well as supporting business to thrive in the country, I was very impressed with. So. And the team at Customs have worked very, very hard with us on this. I think both our teams have worked very, very hard to come to this good resolution, which also now things are very clear about how we need to progress forward. And I think the Chief Commissioner and I are both very, very confident that there's nothing but positive to come out of this going forward.
Puma Energy Country Manager Jim Collins acknowledged input from all parties and was pleased to see that the working relationship between Puma Energy and PNG Customs were more cordial as a result of continuous consultation.
I've been really encouraged by the way Customs has worked with us to actually work through all the difficulties and idiosyncrasies associated with quite a complex topic.
For PNG Customs Service, its Chief Commissioner has applauded Puma Energy as one of the largest total taxpayers in the country for the manner in which they have worked with Customs and for settling legacy GST requirements and now qualifying under the Import GST Deferral Scheme.
For PNG Customs, we want to correct the process of how imports are done. That's how we came up with the thing on what has been outstanding, but I'm thankful that we have a good working relationship after that. All that we want to achieve in getting the process to be in order has been in order now, and we've agreed on what we must do from here on, and that's what we have achieved, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah.
Meribotulo, National EMTV News.
Visited Kavieng as part of her official visit to PNG. She toured a number of AUSAID-funded projects just days after New Ireland province was granted autonomy. Julie Bishop was accompanied by her counterpart Rimbing Pato and the Australian High Commissioner Bruce Davis.
The Australian Foreign Minister and her entourage arrived to a traditional ceremony by the Matalai Sing Sing group at the Kavieng airport. Also there to welcome her were students from Carteret Primary School. They then moved on to the governor's residence and met with Sir Julius Chan. A quick closed-door meeting and gift exchange. Sir Julius Chan presented his book, Playing the Game. The next visit was the National Fishery Research Centre, where the Australian government has funded the 4.3 million Kina marine hatchery project at Nago Island. Also set up on Nago Island is Kavieng's Arts and Crafts Centre, which makes local contemporary jewellery. The Foreign Affairs Minister was then on the boat again to visit the famous Noosa resort. After a brief lunch, the entourage was back to Kavieng to sign a funding under the Australian Government's Incentive Fund on clean drinking water and sanitation for 9 wards in Kavieng. Bishop then met with the Australian Award alumni who are based in Kavieng. There she announced Australia's next education-funded program for primary and secondary schools exchange program. The Australian Foreign Affairs Minister's visit comes only a few days after Prime Minister Peter O'Neill announced his commitment to grant autonomy for the province. Adelaide Sirakskari National, EMTV News.
Before travelling to Kavieng, Julie Bishop was given the opportunity to tour the APEC House. Australia is heavily involved in the security operations for APEC. She congratulated Prime Minister Peter O'Neill for the successful hosting of several lead-up meetings.
Minister Bishop reaffirmed Australia's commitment in partnering with PNG to host the 2018 APEC Leaders Summit in November. APEC Minister Justin Tachenko accompanied Ms. Bishop around APEC House. It is expected to be completed in June. She said it's events like APEC hosting in the region that provides opportunities for trade and investment. She added that Australia will be working on cybersecurity beyond APEC. Adelaide Sirakskari National, EMTV News.
Last week, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill assured the people of New Ireland that major projects earmarked by the national government will be implemented. He said despite tough economic times, the government will spend within its limits to deliver services to the people. Among priorities is the sealing of the West Coast Road and extension of the Kavieng Airport.
In his recent visit to New Ireland Province, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill acknowledged the tough economic times the country is going through. But he says the government will do its best in striving to meet its obligations. The Prime Minister says spending will be limited within budget appropriations.
We are not trying to build all of them at the same time because we can't afford it. That is the reality of life. Our budget has not grown by much, but our population is growing bigger and bigger every time. That is why we need to make use of the small money that we have to the best outcomes for our people.
For New Ireland, the Kavieng Airport remains a priority for the government. The Prime Minister says tendering will be out soon for work to begin. He also promised compensation to the landowners of Kavieng Airport.
We will be going out to tender to call for the extension and building of a new terminal for Kavieng opening. We will be doing that. I want to also assure the landowners of the Kavieng Airport that the long-standing commitment of 6 million Kina will be paid this year to you.
And with the Buluminski Highway close to be fully sealed, the national government will be backing New Ireland provincial government to complete the sealing of the West Coast Road.
Once we finish Buluminski, I can assure you that we will continue on to the West Coast. We will support the governor in his drive to making sure that services reach our people in that part of our province.
The West Coast Road is currently in sealing progress. Governor Sir Julius Chan says it will be completed after years of neglect by levels of government.
Longletha and West Coast have been forgotten by all the government from before, including mine. But West Coast, Mitoki Mubula, this is your time. Well, the people of West Coast, I am now saying to you, You may be the last, but you will be the best.
Meanwhile, the national government has vowed to grant New Ireland autonomy before its term of government ends. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
A sum of 50,000 Kina was donated recently to the Southern Highlands Disaster Relief Appeal. New Ireland Provincial Administrator Lamila Powart presented the cheque to Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and was passed to Mendi MP and Works Minister Michael Nally. The donation will go towards assisting the ongoing relief work for the affected communities. Receiving the cheque, Minister Nally thanked the people of New Ireland for the kind gesture. New Ireland Governor Sir Julius Chen also passed his condolences to the families of those who perished during the earthquake. You're with National EMTV News. We'll have more after these short messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back. To commemorate World TB Day, Calgary Health Centre held an open day and conducted awareness on TB and other services that the health centre offers. Calgary Health Centre, built in 2014, sees over 200 patients on a daily basis from all parts of NCD, Central and even Gulf Province. Tomorrow will be the official celebration of World TB Day Expo at John Guy's Stadium.
Calgary Health Centre has come a long way in development of staff, infrastructure and services that it provides. With the great influx of patients coming from not only NCD but Central and even Gulf provinces, the health centre treats up to 200 patients on a daily basis. Of the services that it provides, TB treatment has been on the rise within NCD.
Probably seen diagnosing and commencing on treatment about 150 cases every quarter, every 3 months. You can see how serious the problem is.
Today, as a lead up to World TB Day, the health centre celebrated by showcasing their clinic and sharing their achievements, and also strengthen links between their local community, stakeholders and partners. General Practitioner of the Health Centre, Dr. Patrick Koliwan, told MTV News that the rise in TB in NCD is undeniable.
Registration numbers for 2017, Calgary had 430 patients. We registered 430 patients, and since we've absorbed Kila Kila as well, we are registering patients from Kila Kila clinic as well. So we're expecting this year's registration numbers to be anywhere between 700 and 800 patients. So we're essentially doubling our patient load this year. So that's what.
The health centre will soon have its own TB lab to quickly process TB test results.
The fight against TB will never be won at clinics like this. It's going to be one with strong community involvement, and that means participation from the community as well, so people knowing, being aware of the signs and symptoms and coming down for testing.
Lilian Sopera Kinea, National EMTV News.
Wagi Valley Coffee Factory in Jiwaka Province has opened doors again after over 18 years of closure. Highlands Organic Agriculture Consultancy has now taken over the factory to process organic coffee to the world market. Director Tony Kiage says organic agriculture farming is here to stay and it's the world's future.
Director Tony Kiage says the world is moving towards organic farming. Jiwaka Province will be the first in PNG to produce and process organic coffee to the world market. Highlands Organic Agriculture Consultancy has a market in Germany and is looking forward for the certification process in which they will produce according to the market's requirement. However, the organization's biggest hope is to involve marginalized citizens and farmers in organic farming.
Like rehabilitating all this land man on stop no street now. Like no like go finish now go bagrab na go get there. Maybe like bring him again back again. Now give him one more hope inside the life law true law organic agriculture farming.
Organic farming simply means farming without using chemicals like fertilizers. Director Kiage says there are ways to avoid pests and insects on cash crops. He said coffee must be planted in secluded area like bush or under big trees. Where the temperature is cool, it must be nicely planted in uniform setting, proper drainage and maintenance and checkups. Despite the province being affected by the coffee berry borer, Kiage said it is a tropical disease found in lower altitude area and farmers should not use this as an excuse. He said organic farming can avoid coffee berry borer. Kiage himself has a background in this area, which he wanted to share it with ordinary people. The farmers' plea is for the national government to subsidize coffee price so that it can attract them to grow more coffee. They also want the government to have a roadmap for this renewable resource and how it can bring development as well as giving them income and a change to their living standard and the way of thinking.
Some of the projects people must go out and visit him. The organic coffee is there for some. Kind of some close to what I can say. So all the come long and about check him now, all the look him.
Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Waigani National Court has sentenced a 24-year-old man to 13 years imprisonment for the murder of his wife. Justice Panuel Mogish sentenced Matthias Eugene from Jamora Village in the Goilala district after the court found him guilty of killing Miriam Piro in 2017. The court heard that on the night of 27 July 2017, Eugene punched and kicked his wife while he was intoxicated. Piro sustained a broken jaw and severe injuries to her face. She later died as a result of the incident. Justice Mogish, when sentencing Eugene, said the maximum penalty for manslaughter was 19 years imprisonment, but because Eugene had apologized, he was given 13 years. Eugene will be serving his term at the Bomana prison. A 62-year-old man from Balawan village in Manus was attacked and killed by a crocodile last Friday. The victim, Sakol Silikara, was attacked while diving near Low Island in the Balopa LLG. Manus PPC Chief Inspector David Yapu said Silikara was attacked in front of his elder brother and wife. PPC Yapu said after the attack, the brother rushed Silikara to the nearby Lako Health Center, but it was too late. Secretary for Education Dr. Uke Kombra says the department receives 3 billion kina every year for education, which is a portion of the 20 billion kina from the national budget. 600 million kina is allocated for tuition fee-free education policy. According to school records, the government owes 6 primary schools and a secondary school in Leh District over 3.6 million kina. Dr. Kombra said he will meet with Morobe education officers tomorrow to clarify reports on the outstanding TFF payments.
Ladies and gentlemen.
The Secretary for Education, Dr. Uki Kombra, said he isn't aware of schools in Morobe that claims to have outstanding TFF payments. According to Dr. Kombra, all schools should not have outstanding funds.
So far to date, there is no infrastructure money that is held back by the Department of Education. There is no 30% held by the district. The total 30% has been going to the schools since 2012. The 40% for operations, the total 40% has gone to schools. There's no money that is held back for that purpose. The teaching and learning resource component, only last year we decided that there must be some support to ensure that there is quality and equity across the whole country. So the government decided that we will only hold back 15% and give this centrally procure and distribute it nationally and by through regions to all school supplies.
He said this in response to media reports that have stated that the government owes 6 primary schools and a secondary school in Leh District almost 3.6 million kina. According to reports, the government owes Nawai Lutheran High School 1.2 million kina and Hekwange Primary School in Menyamia District more than 40,000 Kina. West Goroka Primary School in Eastern Highlands Province said the government owes them more than 400,000 Kina since 2017.
The Education Board sets a fee limits for according to law that every school should be paid a certain amount of money. Now, when we receive the money, we receive 600 million Kina. We disperse that equally to everybody.
Comber said he will meet with Morobe education officers tomorrow to clarify the concerns of TFF outstanding in the schools in Morobe.
We'll try to see that some of the things that are not being reported properly, and we're all aware of it and we speak the same language. So that's what we intend to do tomorrow.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
Medical supplies for the country arrived in the past month and are expected to be sent to clinics and aid posts. This is according to the Health Secretary Pascal Kase, who says the issues faced with delayed medicine delivery is a logistics problem. Mr. Kase said there have been instances where processes have been hijacked and those implicated will be dealt with. Towards the end of last year, a couple of rural clinics in Morobe had to shut down for more than 2 months due to the lack of medical supplies.
Yes, the health department, especially with the aid posts.
Secretary for Health Pascal Kase says medical supplies are expected to reach both rural and urban health centers by now. Mr. Kase said medical kits were received last month.
At least all our health centers and aid posts in the rural areas, district hospitals, are now starting to get their medicine, so that is good.
The shortage of drugs in the country has been an ongoing problem. Late last year, a rural health center in Morobe had to shut down because of the lack of medical supplies. These include basic drugs such as antibiotics. Mr. Kase says much of the delay is caused by logistic problems.
If there are any facilities that are not receiving their medicines yet, it will be due to logistical problem. But otherwise, the medicine for the whole country, for our rural health facilities, are already in country.
Mr. Kase says the onus is on the logistic companies to ensure the drugs are delivered.
It has its challenges, but it's something we can get closer to monitoring to make sure that medicine gets to where they're supposed to be going.
Hospital staff are also being urged to manage the supplies well.
And it will take about 3 to 5 months to get medicines in. So it's important that whatever we have, we must use it wisely for all our people.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
The University of Goroka aims to become the leader in teacher education not only in Papua New Guinea but also in the Southwest Pacific region. This year, the university is also trying to move its center to Port Vila in Vanuatu as well as establish campuses in the Cook Islands. UOG's Pro-Vice Chancellor Teng Waninga made the announcement during an awareness visit by a team from UOG to Medang Teachers College today.
UOG's Pro-Vice Chancellor Mr. Teng Waninga led a delegation from UOG to visit Medang Teachers College today. The team met with the teachers and students to do awareness on the different programs UOG is offering. Mr. Waninga told MTC students and teachers UOG has special programs including early childhood education.
We have a concept of gown to town. Gown to town means we want to bring our University of Goroka gowns to where the people are. We want to bring our gowns, University of Goroka gowns, to Medang Teachers College.
He says the early childhood learning program is one of the programs UOG would like Medang Teachers College to house.
We have got very special programs that I wish to mention. The early childhood program that we offer is a very, very important course we are offering, and it's unique only to Papua New Guinea, the only university in Papua New Guinea that's offering early childhood education. And about less than 10 of our students are teaching in the Pacific regions and also in Australia.
The visit is also to see where UOG and Medang Teachers College can collaborate to improve teacher training. In addition, an existing MOU signed between the two institutions will be reviewed so that it will allow staff members and teachers to do their masters and PhD. The university is also looking at taking in the first top 5% of the graduating students of MTC to continue their bachelor's program at UOG.
That MOU, we will allow our staff to do their masters and PhD. Even if they don't go up there, we can run it here. After we have signed our MOU, we are thinking that the best top 5% of students can continue to do their bachelor's with us so that we can graduate you as University of Goroka students. After, maybe down the line, we would like all of Madang Teachers College and the students at University of Goroka would be part of us, so that the degree program, the bachelor in primary education, can be done by University of Goroka through Madang, so that those students who are coming to Madang can have, graduate with a bachelor's degree instead of a diploma.
Mathaluwis National EMTV News, Madang.
Chukai Sports is next. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. PNG athletes and officials who will be attending the Commonwealth Games can now communicate with families and friends at home effectively. And even updates from any tournaments the team attends can be disseminated back to the PNG audience in due time, thanks to the generosity of B-Mobile. This partnership was announced by B-Mobile and the PNG Olympics Committee in a news conference today. This is the first of its kind for both B-Mobile and the PNGOC, and it is very timely as Team PNG will leave in a week's time for the Gold Coast. To football, Papua New Guinea has been pulled alongside New Caledonia, Samoa and Tahiti in Group A of the OFC Womens Nations Cup competition. These came about after the draws for the OFC Womens Nations Cup was revealed at the OFC headquarters in Auckland, New Zealand.
The 11th edition of the Premier Women's Football Competition in the Oceania is set to include 11 participating nations. The official draw held in Auckland, New Zealand, revealed the journey from the qualifiers in Fiji right through to the final, which will be held in New Caledonia on December the 1st. The first stage of the competition kicks off in August when Fiji, American Samoa and Vanuatu meet for the final available position in the group stage. Making up Group A are host New Caledonia, Samoa, Papua New Guinea and Tahiti. The PNG women's national team have held the gold medal in the Pacific Games ever since the women's tournament was introduced in 2003, and they've also been runners-up in the OFC Womens Nations Cup on 3 occasions. The PNG Lakatois are ranked second best in the region behind the New Zealand fans. In Group A, hot favourites New Zealand, who boast a large majority of professional players in their squad. Cook Islands have finished third in the past 2 editions, and Tonga in the one before that in 2007. Both sides are expected to struggle against the might of the football fans. The OFC Women's Nations Cup will be held from the 18th of November to the 1st of December in New Caledonia. The winner of the competition will qualify directly both to the FIFA Women's World Cup France 2019 and the Women's Olympic Football Tournament Tokyo 2020. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
To sport fishing, the 43rd National Games fishing title is less than 24 hours away. The event will start at the Lay Yacht Club. Anglers and visitors throughout PNG, as well as participants from Australia and New Zealand, will compete in the 9-day competition. The fishing tournament has become PNG's largest open water sport fishing event, involving hundreds of participants. The registration starts tomorrow, the 23rd of March, with the actual fishing commencing the next day and continues on to the 1st of April. Chukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. Tonight will be a grand final rematch of the NRL Telstra Premiership as the Melbourne Storm take on the North Queensland Cowboys. The Cowboys' last year's grand final team was without star halfback Jonathan Thurston and Matt Scott, while the Storm will be without Cooper Cronk, Tohu Harris and Slade Griffin tonight. The Storm continue to adapt to new man Brodie Croft at the helm as playmaker, while the Cowboys possess more class and experience through the return of Scott and Thurston. Tonight's match will be a nail-biter at Emmy Park. To cricket, Australian captain Steve Smith has slammed the ICC's handling of the appeal that cleared Kagiso Rabada to play in tonight's third test.
Smith couldn't fathom why he wasn't called to give evidence about the mid-pitch incident with Rabada in the second test.
The contact was harder than it actually looked on the TV. Whether it was intentional or not, that's not for me to decide.
The Aussies have named an unchanged lineup with Mitch Starc and Mitch Marsh, both past fit. Hard to say. And the Aussies will be hoping to fare better than England did in the first innings of the opening test against New Zealand. The visitors were all out for just 58 thanks to some spectacular catching. That's their sixth lowest ever total. Winx can extend her remarkable winning streak to 24 in Saturday's George Ryder Stakes at Rose Hill.
She does love it here at Rose Hill. It's her home track. She doesn't get to race here too often.
Hugh Bowman will reunite with performer in the slipper. The colt took a nasty tumble from a fortnight ago. All the racing is live and free on 7 on Saturday.
To boxing, the trash talk between Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker has stepped up a notch, with the Brits saying he doesn't like the Kiwi or his backstabbing team. The comments were made at a media day in Sheffield, where New Zealand and Samoan reporters were frozen out by the British champ.
It's the first time Anthony Joshua has been seen since he emerged from intensive training.
AJ overconfident ahead of his play.
Despite starting 2 hours late on AJ time, the big AJ Media Day began well, shaking every hand and talking to every journalist, except those from Joseph Parker's home turf, New Zealand and Samoa. There's a certain irony to that, considering the reasons he gave British media today for not liking Parker.
He's a weird character, not really, no. Because I've seen some of the emails that Parker's manager sent Eddie and so on and so forth, and they say some really backstabbing things, but in your face they shake your hands, and that's not my kind, that's not my type at all.
His promoter, Eddie Hearn, seems to think Team Parker is gutless.
We saw the trash talk all the way from New Zealand, but when they came here, they had the chance to say it and they couldn't say it.
There is one Kiwi Joshua will talk to though, his strength and conditioning coach Mark Campbell.
Josh is a little bit, he's like, who are you going to back in this fight? I'm definitely on Joshua's side.
But there does seem to be reluctant respect for Parker.
He's a solid fighter, he can hook, he knows when to hook, he knows when to box. He's quite cute, he can get out of situations.
Next weekend will be the first time ever that two undefeated heavyweight champions meet in the United Kingdom in front of a crowd of no less than 80,000 people. A crowd size Joshua's experienced twice, Parker never.
He will never have seen anything like what he's about to see next Saturday.
The hype around the weigh-in is immense, with both fighters expected to come in lighter.
Joseph Parker, I saw him on Saturday, he looked lean, he looked in really good condition. And the problem is the UK are probably not giving Joseph the credit he deserves.
So not everyone's drinking the Anthony Joshua Kool-Aid, and 10 days out from this mega fight, AJ seems just a little bitter.
And that ends True Kai Sports. The weather details coming up next.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, a few showers and possible thunderstorms in Port Moresby, rain showers in Daru, a shower or two in Kerema, few showers in Alutau and thundery showers in Popondetta. In the Momasa region, a shower or two in Lae and fine weather in Medang, Wewak and Vanimore. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy in Loringa, a shower or two in Kavieng and Buka, and fine weather in Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, thundery showers, then morning fog in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of and inland areas of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, and also Long Island to Medang to Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, including New Guinea Islands and Bismarck Sea. Gale wind warnings issued for all coastal waters and island areas southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, and also Wewak to Aitape and Vanimo, northern PNG Indonesian border, including Bismarck Sea and west of 140 degrees over Coral Sea. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, and with waters of Long Island to Medang to Bogia, Wewak to Aitape, Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 2.5 to 3.5 meters. Waters of Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema to Yule Island, Hood Point, Samarai Island with waters of eastern and western Milne Islands, with waters of Samarai Island, Cape Vogel to Finchhafen, and with waters of Finchhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to Siasi Islands to Long Island, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 2 to 3 meters, and waters of New Britain to New Ireland and Bougainville, seas of 1.5 to 3 meters. Looking at the ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea, seas light to moderate with very rough at 140 degrees west with southeast to northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots, reaching 48 knots at 140 degrees west. In the Solomon Sea, seas light to moderate with southeast to southwest winds at 10 to 20 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas rough to very rough with northwest winds at 25 to 34 knots, reaching 48 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas rather rough with northwest winds at 20 to 25 knots.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
World Water Day was celebrated today by Water Aid and partners from the Australian government at Gaba Gaba Primary School. The event also raised awareness to the school children and the community there on hygienic practices of using water. Water Aid also launched the Tippy Tap competition for schools nationwide as part of its water sanitation and hygiene campaign.
It was an exciting day at Gaba Gaba Primary School as students woke up early this morning to decorate their school for the World Water Day celebrations. Guests from Water Aid, the Australian High Commission, media personnel and officials from the Central Governor's Office were led into the school premises by traditional dancers from the elementary classes. The theme for the World Water Day this year, Nature for Water. In commemorating the World Water Day event, Water Aid launched the Tippy Tap competition, a nationwide competition for schools to win a school tank.
We work on a program that supports water, sanitation and hygiene, sometimes called WASH, for rural communities and schools in Papua New Guinea. And one of our big vision and aims is to get water, decent toilets, and hygiene to everyone in Papua New Guinea by 2030.
The Australian government also pledged its continuous support for rural PNG communities to access clean water. The Tippy Tank competition is aimed at teaching children to practice hygienic habits of using water, such as washing of hands before and after meals.
And part of that is raising awareness and getting hygiene behaviours practiced. And today is World Water Day, and we've been celebrating here in Gaba Gaba Primary School today. And part of the celebration is also launching the tippy-tap device competition. So World Water Day is about celebrating the water resource we have and protecting it and maintaining it and making sure that we all have access to clean water.
The competition is part of WaterAid's WASH program that has been rolled out in rural communities of Central and APEC provinces over the past 10 years.
Nationwide tippy-tap competition has been launched today at Gaba Gaba Primary School, and it's going to go on for the next 4 weeks, and competition ends on the 22nd of April.
Stacey Yallo, National, EMTV News.
And that's been the news for the 22nd of March. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.